Hi everyone, welcome to Globetrotters. This is Rupa and today I have D. Balasubramaniam. He is here to give us some financial advice on how we can travel on a budget, and he's also here to give us his own experiences. Hi,
Hi Rupa, nice to see you. Hi everyone. So like Rupa said, my name is Bala. So 55-year-old, had been globetrotter, if I can say, within my own way. Had been working in a public sector bank for 25 years, and then I thought I should move on, and now in corporate since last 11 years and hope to continue for a few more years. What stands out is I believe that work is something that keeps happening, but you should have something beyond work, and I think travel and finance is something that is very close to me, and I continue to work on both of these fields.
Wonderful. So that was your professional experience, and as far as I know, you've been traveling for almost 20 years now, and
That's
you've
right.
been to different countries and
That's
different
right. That's
cities in India as well. So what's your experience on travel?
Yeah, so what began as a compulsion has now become a hobby. So when I moved to corporate, my work involved me to travel, and it was like a dream. So when I was a child, all I used to do is to look at a Maruti 800 car, and used to think whether I'll be able to sit in that particular car on one day, because it moves faster than what I can do as a driving a bicycle or riding a bicycle. So from there to get an opportunity to travel overseas had been very fascinating. So I always believe that if you have a particular trait in you, and if those things connect with the external world, it becomes that much more easier. So I think once you have this thought of being able to connect with people, travel is something which actually helps you to connect with people. So it all started like that, and like I said, in my corporate life, it began with traveling, more so internationally. Of course, domestic we were traveling because we had this background where my father was working in an environment where you had a lot of defense people whose outlook is very different. So travel can be very closely related with your social atmosphere. So you will always find people who are, if I can say the word extrovert, would be very keen to socialize. And if you socialize, then you obviously travel. So what began as a work for work slowly translated into understanding and appreciating, so much so that whenever I interact with people, I always say that at least once in a life you should go abroad to see how the culture is, how people are different. So it enables you to break your silos and also think beyond what you are doing. So that's how everything started, and I continue to work. So one of the key things that I do is I don't mix my work with my pleasure, but at the same time also ensure that my work is accelerated or motivated due to my pleasure. So I'll give you a very simple example. If I'm now in January, right, I will always plan what I should do in CY21, leave alone the lockdown and the pandemic, which is creating havoc for people like us who would like to travel. So I will always think that what are the next holidays coming in, and how should I plan those holidays. So that has helped me always to be personally motivated, both in the official space and also in the personal space. For instance, now we have a holy holiday coming in the end of March. So my brain would always keep working as to what I should do during those period, and then once that is over, I don't stop. So I will be thinking of, okay, what is the summer holidays going to come, where I should go. So I always feel that being beyond where you are gives you a lot of things to explore.
Okay. Alright. So that was a better summed up on how you, what's your perspective on travel. But when it comes to today's generation, okay, how important do you think financial planning is for today's generation? Because if you can see, there are so many people ranging from the age group of 20 to 35, they are undergoing a lot of stress due to financial issues. There are a lot of things that they want to do, but they cannot because of their financial planning or their under finances. What do you think, or what is your advice to people, or what is your perspective on how they can plan better so that they can have a better life?
Yeah, I think a very excellent question and very relevant. We'll discuss about tourism and travel later on, but it's always important that you should manage your finance to explore what you would like to dream. Like I said, since I was in bank for 25 years and even my current profile, it means that I communicate and interact with a lot of people, the various strata of societies. And one thing that I've always observed is that we are very poor in terms of financial planning. I've always observed that people talk a lot and get motivated also a lot when people talk about the relevance of financial planning and having a very good investment strategy, but seldom followed. And the reasons are multiple for that. Because human wants are unlimited, right? But the resources at any given point of a time are limited. So it's a question of how much you have and how much you can allocate for what all. Currently today, and I'm sure this is going to be the trend in future as well, that the only thing constant is change. And when things change, your aspirations change, your needs change, your wants change. What would have been a wants at one particular time were needs for me 10 years before, and they were desires, right? But now it's the reverse. So what were the desire for me 20 years before would have become need for somebody and would become want for somebody today. So it's very critical to analyze what you want out of life. And once you are very clear as to what you want in your life, it's also important to be very clear on how to finance it, because at the end of the day, if you have to live, the only thing the world knows is money. So it's very important as to how you should get into. There are some people, and I can tell you from my experience, are really brilliant in terms of understanding finances. For instance, I can tell you that 90% of those whom I know are working in finance really do not care about their personal investments, right? In spite of the fact that they understand what is investments, what is wealth creation, but they really do not spend so much of a time. And I think the reasons for that could be very different. One is your social well-being or the social being. The second is your family, your peer pressure. Many a times we see that there could be people who would plan so much, but friends would come and you would say, okay, let's go out, and then everything goes for a toss. So my simple mantra is very simple, very, 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 very clear. Whatever you earn, either being on your own or on a salary, first and foremost that you should do is you should have a multiple sources of income. I think gone are the days when people have to be, just go for a 9-to-5 job and come back. You should have various sources of income to meet your financial goals. And these could be the goals which are for the family, or it could be the goals which are for your enjoyment and recreation. You would have seen nowadays there is hardly anybody, at least in the middle class, who do not dream of a holiday, right? Either internationally or domestically. So dreaming is one thing, but how to achieve that is something different. So for me, what's important is that you should have various sources of income as you progress. First is the salary or the individual income that you get if you are an entrepreneur. The second is some sort of a interest income that you can generate, which gives you flows into meeting all the commitments. Then you should also have some sort of investments in the property, right, so that you get some income. And you should also have some income where you do some freelancing, which is, I think, the in thing now, where you see a lot of people coming in on YouTube and various channels opening up, because the opportunities available to make money are humongous. Now, once you get that opportunity, how do you plan? And I think the simple way for me is that you have a strategy. You first save and then spend, rather than doing the other way around. And I think there are so many avenues today available where the desire to spend is much more than saving. Right. But I think if you are very clear on your goal as to what you want to do, then you should probably first save and then spend. And even in the context of saving, you should be very clear as to why you want to save. For instance, if I want to build a house 20 years after now, right, your investment style should be different. If I want to go for a holiday next year, my investment style should be different.
Okay. Well said. And now that you have said that there should be multiple sources of income, and you've also mentioned that people have started to coming out on. I would like to now pose the question to you. Nowadays, people, the younger generation, wants to become an entrepreneur rather than having a 9 to 5 job, because, like you said, multiple sources of income. However, most of them dream to become an entrepreneur and then be on their own. And these standard jobs are just killing them with stress. So, what's your advice on their financial planning, and how can they easily get to that entrepreneur position, and how can they save for themselves so that they don't feel that stress and burden?
Yeah, I think again excellent question. The way opportunities that knock today at the doors of youngsters, and with the ambition that they have, right, because of the social atmosphere or the ecosystem that is changing currently, you will find that youth have become aspirational. They have this urge to do beyond the original straitjacket jobs, and for that they do have avenues of getting themselves financed, because there are a lot of people who believe in the ability of people to think differently and bring more on a table. So you will find a lot of people who are willing to invest either as a PE or a strategic financer into your businesses. But since you are an individual who is not going to have a regular stream of income, I think the self-discipline for these type of youngsters is much more. And I could probably generalize and say that all those who are entrepreneurs would have a very different skill set. And like what we discussed earlier, I do believe that most of them would be extroverts. And if they are extroverts, then obviously they would like to socialize. And if they would like to socialize, then obviously they have to be very clear as to how they should manage their finances. And I think one of the best ways to manage anyone's finance is to really understand where they are in their life and what are their goals. It really doesn't matter if you are working from 9 to 5 or if you don't get a steady set of income. But if you move or work towards ensuring that you get a steady state of income, like the 4 or 5 avenues that I said, you should always have revenues or income coming in, it would become that much more easier for you to manage your day-to-day commitments, right? So one of the critical components where a person who is doing on his own would be his cash flows. So he would always be burdened with this dilemma of how much to invest in his project and how much to keep aside for meeting their commitment. So the day you start, you should always think of 4 or 5 avenues where you can get your cash flow.
All right. So you said that was a brilliant advice for today's entrepreneurs, or to be entrepreneurs. Your total travel experience of 30 countries, which is amazing, right? I mean, I've just visited 2, so I think I'm very inexperienced when compared to your travel experience. So what is the experience that you have gained in visiting those 30 countries?
Yeah, sure. So what started as a occupational requirement have turned into something that I now like. So just to tell you that my ambition is to travel to not many but at least 100 countries in the future, and because of the current COVID, it has just got pushed out. Otherwise, today I would have said that I've already traveled to maybe 35 or 37 countries. So that's something that is my personal wish, and I'm sure it would happen if everything goes the way we think. So what really stood out to me is that when we started visiting those countries, their culture is different than ours, their behavior pattern is different, but I think at the end of the day there is something that you can learn from each of the places that you visit. And I'll give you some examples. First time when I went to Japan, when I was climbing or using the excavator, I didn't realize that I was on the right side, and I did notice that people were on the left, but I thought, being Japanese what we are, so probably that's something that they do. And as I was standing there, one guy called me and said, look, if you want to cross us, use the right side, but you have to keep walking, otherwise you have to be on the left. So that's something which really stuck to me, which is a good, good habit or a practice, and ever since I have been practicing that. Similarly, when I go to some of the Southeast Asian countries, I do find those people doing menial jobs, but I don't know whether it's an option or something that they like, but I do know for sure that they really enjoy what they are doing. So you come across many faces which are not only smiling but are so much reassuring for us to make us happy. So that's one thing that I've always seen, that when you visit various places, various countries, not only you get a sense of how they live, what they do, but it's a very different feeling where you feel that yes, there are many people in this planet who are very happy, and some of them can automatically come to you when you visit these different geographies. And so this is all a learning experience that you keep getting. The more you travel, the more people you meet, the more diverse cultures you are exposed to, and I'm sure if you are really interested, you can imbibe something to become a better citizen.
True. Well, I've observed the same when I think I visited Singapore, and the same escalator example. So I was busily walking towards the right, and my brother, who's actually traveled to different countries already, told me, move aside, people are moving. And I was shocked, or rather surprised. I didn't understand why was he asking me to move aside. Then I saw people crossing through, and I'm like, okay.
Correct.
Even now, if I get onto an escalator, I move towards the left and stand.
That's
so
right.
that no matter if they move or not, doesn't matter. But I still try to stand on the left, so that it becomes a habit for me. Even if I go to a different country, I should not become a hindrance to others.
That's right.
And we try to follow their rules as well. That is definitely a good experience that we have gathered. Okay, now that we have heard your experience in different countries, and we've also told people that you've traveled around 30 countries now. 30 countries would involve a lot of finances for sure, because you just cannot travel around for free, and it doesn't practically happen. How did you manage to travel around so many countries without burning a hole in your pocket or your finances?
Yeah, again, ultimately, like we started this conversation, finance is the beginning and end of everything. So what it means that you need to plan yourself well ahead, and if you plan well ahead, there are various avenues, resources that are available today, where you can have a economic budget travel. It again all depends on what you want. I know a couple of my friends who are earning really good money, and they would like to splurge like that. For instance, if you go to Maldives, you have an option of either taking a seaplane or going by a boat, right? So it all depends. So for me, a boat would be good enough, whereas for somebody it would be a seaplane. But what's important is that you should plan, and the more you are meticulous in terms of planning, it would enable you to meet your goal, be it in personal finance or in meeting all your desires or a hobby to travel. So the first and foremost thing is think ahead, and keep putting some part of your money into another bucket where there are various avenues available, like I said, and the best way is to really zero on the date where you want to go or the month, and look at the various options. And like it said, if you have a will, there is a way. And since it is something that you are going to do on your own, I think it will be that much more easier for you to meet your financial commitments. Plenty of options today available based on what you like and desire. If you are really clear as to why you want to do that holiday, then obviously I don't think money is something that will hinder. But I would never advise people to fall into the racket, if I can say, or the temptation that most of the credit cards or the financing companies give, where they say that come on a holiday and you can pay on EMI. I would never do that, because there is a clear distinction between a want, need, and a desire. So for me, travel still continues to be a desire, and it can never become a want. So I think that is the clarity that you should have. And I can tell you, if you have the passion to travel, and if you can connect, then obviously whatever money that you have, I think you will be still able to put in something and meet your dreams. But one advice that I would like to give is that always choose those companions who are in the same wavelength. For instance, if you have a friend who would like to splurge staying in a 7-star hotel, and you would be happy enough in a 3-star or a dormitory, I think you should never go with them. So this is how you can plan your finances. Keep focus, be very clear where you want to go, and I think the sheer enthusiasm in you would make those finances available.
We have spoken about having better finances. We have spoken about experience on different traveling to different countries and your future plans. Now, India is a land of diverse culture and beauty, and there is a lot to explore. So, what is your opinion on tourism of India? You've been to different places in India as well.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, as far as India as a tourist destination is concerned, there are a lot of things that the government need to do. There being a lot of things being done, but I think clearly there is a notion that many of the youngsters especially have, that for them tourism means going abroad, and I think this is totally misplaced. In India you have such a diverse culture. There would be many people who would like only beaches, but that's not the only thing that India have got. You've got really good mountain areas, you've got a lot of temples, you've got heritage sites. So it depends on a couple of things. Number one is the initiative the government is going to give to this as a sector, because tourism, there are many countries, especially in Southeast Asian and in Europe, where tourism is one of the source of income for livelihood for majority of their population, and this is something that India should exploit, given the current situation, where we see a lot of Indians who would like to travel but are not able to travel.
You mentioned saying that foreigners coming into India and they're trying to explore our country. And I have few friends of mine who did visit our country from outside. How safe, as an Indian, how safe would you say our country is for travel? Because there are so many notions outside, like you said, that India is not quite safe to travel and they have to be very careful and all that. What's your opinion on that?
So I think this is applicable everywhere. Once you are going to a new territory, you are in a territory which is unknown. So everywhere you will have your own challenges. But if you are careful, if you have well studied your place, well documented, I don't think there should be any problem. And as far as India is concerned, I don't think there is a reason to believe that it's unsafe. Unfortunately, in media, the negative things attract a lot of attention rather than the positive things. So if you are careful enough, if you have done your homework well, I think India is a very, very safe place to be. There are certain pockets in India where, in fact, tourists are treated very well. So those are the places where we should definitely visit, which will give more comfort.
So, well said. So next, my last question, taking the time into consideration. My last question for you would be, now, like you said, India has a lot of options for tourism, and there are beautiful places that one can visit. And most of them between the age of 20 to 35 love to travel, because that can be an escape for them from the real world, where they are undergoing a lot of stress and anxiety and all that. So, what is your advice to those people or to that generation who would want to travel on a budget? Because we might not earn in lakhs, right? So or on a bigger number, but how can we at least experience that travel in that small budget that we have?
Yeah, it's very simple, like when we started this conversation, when we spoke about finance. So if you plan, you can always be a budget traveler. So first and foremost, don't try to travel a day or 2 days before the holidays that are going to come. People are aware when are going to be the peak seasons and the seasons which are not peak, right? So you could always try to explore regions where there is no peak at that particular time. At the same time, you should also be very clear as to what you want out of a travel, right? And in India currently, the modes of transport are really cheap. So it really is not expensive unless and until you want to fly just before your holiday begins. So ultimately, for me, you can be a budget traveler if you plan well ahead. But today there are so many avenues available where you can do your own self-analysis. And I think the blogs like yours would help people to understand and appreciate how best you can plan your travel. And the last thing that should be in your mind is this calculation. And this again comes back to poor planning, poor financial planning. If I have got, for instance, 5 lakhs budgeted for Europe travel, you should not care how you are going to spend that. All that you should care is that I am not going to exceed my budget of 5 lakhs.
Right.
And that is one of the ways where you can overcome. Just to add to this particular point and why I think India should be a great tourism destination, I have traveled to many countries, the rich countries, countries which are expensive, and some of the countries where people think are inexpensive, for instance the Southeast Asian countries. But believe me, in spite of all these social media, saying that these countries are inexpensive, I still find India to be the least expensive amongst all the countries that I have visited. I can vouch for this for Indonesia, for Sri Lanka, Thailand, Cambodia, Philippines. All these countries on a rupee basis still continue to be expensive. So if those people actually come to India, they will find India to be the least expensive. And I think that is one reason why Indian tourism is going to do much better than what it is.
Wonderful. It was great spending time with you, and thank you for giving out your precious time for us and giving us wonderful advices. I'm sure people will find it really helpful, and I hope they start implementing it so that they can.
No, thanks, Rupa. I think the two important things for me is passion, and it can be in any field. For me, the passion, like I said, is on financial planning and financial discipline investment, and the fallout, the other one is tourism and travel, because I do feel that it's a great motivator, and I hope that this continues to be for many people, because it's something which will be de-stressing for many people. And like I said, once you start experiencing that, you will appreciate it. And I would like to wish all the best to your channel.
Thank you.